Welcome to ChoreoCollab Podcast, where we discuss dance, film, collaboration, and more. Brought to you by Central Florida Choreographers Collaboration. I'm your host, Amanda Van Meter Birch. Today, I'll be talking with Madison Jane Ruff about her collaboration with us for Season 3, Project 30, rawcut. Hi, Madison.
Hello.
I'm so happy to have you on with us to talk about your project.
So happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your dance background.
Yeah, so like a lot of dancers, I started dancing pretty young at a dance studio. And then I went to a performing arts high school. And that's kind of where I really fell in love with, like a little bit more in depth with dance, I guess, and really started to understand and have a stronger desire to create dance and understand, the different forms of dance and all of that. So I think in high school is really when my severe interest in dance started. And then I went to the School of Toronto Dance Theatre in Canada and did their 3-year program. And that's kind of like my background in dance and my own dance history and how I got started in the industry.
Okay. So you're originally from Canada.
Yes.
And now you live in Central Florida. How did that transition sort of happen?
My husband is from Central Florida, and we met while we were traveling in Australia. And so when I graduated from college, it just made a little bit, his family's all here and my family's spread out throughout Western Canada. So it just made a little bit more sense to live here, and who doesn't want to live in Florida?
Exactly.
It's
exactly.
So nice.
I love Florida. Born and raised. I don't see myself ever leaving. So
no, it's a great place.
Good point. So tell us a little bit about your project.
Yeah. So rawcut is something I'm super proud of. I really didn't have much of a concept going into it. I knew I wanted to make a dance that was pretty much just a dance. I didn't have any super emotional theme or anything that I really wanted to even necessarily, like anything that was super focused on like trying to communicate to the audience. I just wanted this to be like something that you watch and you enjoy and you get joy out of, and you can see that the dancer's having fun and that, the audience kind of can like feel that along with them. And I think I did that, and I'm really happy about it. So it isn't, like I said, it doesn't have any super deep meaning. I really just wanted to make something that was super fun to watch. And yeah, I think that happened.
I think that happened too. I love how not only your sort of subline on it was an internal groove exposed, which I think there was no other way to say that.
Yeah,
it says it perfectly. But it's so visually stunning to look at as well.
Yeah, we lucked out big time with the location. And the lighting that happens in the spot that we filmed it is, every time I watch it, I'm just like, the lighting is what made it. The lighting brought that whole thing to life. And it's actually so interesting because when, while I was making it, I didn't really have, the way it ended up being filmed, I didn't have that vision in mind. I definitely made it kind of like you would traditionally make a dance, the way that I've always made dance, like thinking it's going to be on a stage. So it was very flat in my mind. And then, as we were filming and we ended up, filming it the way that we did, it turned out in such a different way. And I'm still so stunned that it came out the way that it did, because I was like, I didn't make it to be filmed like that. And then so it's so cool to me how that all happened.
Mm-hmm. So what was your process going into it to choreograph the project? What was your approach?
We pretty much only did one way of making movement. One of my favorite ways to create phrases is to make a list of words and not to focus on like the pretty basic way of starting movement is like the word push. What does like the word push look like? I would rather say like, what does the word push sound like, and how would that translate into movement? So I would just come up with like random words that I liked, and not like a sentence or anything, just like the word like skinny, pink, lad, 30, things like that. And then I would say that to Sammy, the dancer, and be like, what is that, when I say that word, like, what does that word sound like to you in terms of movement? Which it took us a little bit to figure out, like she'd never done that before. So, but it definitely invokes a different kind of feel. And, that it just like takes a twist on things. And I always am really impressed with the way that it inspires movement in dancers. And that's probably my go-to way of creating phrases. So we just would, she'd make a move, we'd pile onto a phrase, and we probably had like 4 or 5 phrases that we did with that. And then we would just manipulate them. Like if I had an idea of how I wanted her to change it, we would do that. And then we pretty much just, rearranged them, tried to see what it would look like if it was on the floor or like just standing in one spot. There's a phrase in the piece that's all pretty much filmed just her upper body. So we took some other moves that we had in there and made that one like standing still phrase. And then I really wanted to make sure that Sammy understood that I was like, this is like, I want you to like what you're doing. So if it was like, if we ever made something that she didn't like, it didn't feel good on her body, or she didn't, it didn't register with her, I was like, let's scrap it. Like, I want someone to watch you doing this dance and for them to be like, I want to be dancing with her, and for it to be really obvious that she's enjoying what she's doing. So I was like, really wanted to make sure that was happening for her and that she really liked doing the dance. And it ended up being a pretty physical piece as well, which is always really fun because you can tell that she's really pushing it and going for it. And she did a fabulous job. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of like, it wasn't super complicated. It was pretty straightforward. But it was a lot of fun to do. And she's a brilliant dancer, and she took direction super well. And the whole process was really quite smooth. And it was pretty amazing how quickly it all came together. And working with one dancer is such a pleasure because you get to know them so well. Mm-hmm. And so I had a lot of fun doing that. And it was great. But it was, a pretty simple process, not super complicated, wasn't incredibly challenging, which was great because it was my first time making a piece for film. So I was really happy at the ease that came with it.
Mm-hmm. So talk a little bit about that, the film technical process for you. Had you done film before? Was it a new experience for you?
Yeah, I had done like very basic, just like filming improv during college. I've done a little bit of editing also in college, but nothing super intense. And so the film part of it was pretty new to me. And the videographer life is an amazing human being and such a brilliant creative, so talented. I was so blessed and lucky that he said yes to working with me. And he came with a lot of insight, and he really helped the whole process because I don't think without him I would have really been able to capture what I was after. And I had a couple ideas in mind that we ended up scrapping, which is okay. And I had shown him a couple of videos, and we kind of had exchanged like dance videos that we liked. And I love music videos. And so I showed him a couple of music videos that had dancers in it and was like, this is kind of what I think I want. And he was able to emulate it perfectly. And he did such a great job. And so the video, like the filming process was definitely a new experience because I'd never had to really direct before. And so that was a bit challenging, but it was super helpful because he was great at like helping coaxing me and to be like ask the right questions to really figure out what I wanted. And everyone was really patient, which was great because I definitely felt like I was just like kind of faking it until I made it. And so the end result is definitely not, I think, what I was originally planning, but it was exactly what I wanted, if that makes any sense. Like it wasn't at all what I thought we were going to end up with, but it's better than I think I had planned originally. And so, really stoked about it.
That's cool. So what were some of the challenges that came from the process?
I think for me personally, this is the first thing I've done in Central Florida since moving here. And so it was a little bit, I guess, just intimidating, getting into this industry in a different country. But this has been, I think, the best way that I could have done it. And I've met so many people through it. So it was like started as a challenge, but came out as not a challenge. And then, like I mentioned previously, I'd never really directed anything before. So that was definitely challenging. I don't think I had made enough set decisions prior to filming. I think I had a little bit more of a clear vision. It would have gone a little bit faster, but we had the time and everyone had the patience with me. Like I said before, like I'm not the most emotional dancer. And so it did, like, I don't really think I understood what the piece was about until it was done, until I saw the final product. Then I was like, okay, I had a bit of the idea of like, it's, like you're peering into a dancer's personal space. But that really came out as the piece was finished. And so it was a bit challenging to communicate to Sammy and to Life about what exactly I wanted, but it ended up coming out great. So I definitely struggle a little bit with that, just having a really clear vision. And I don't know if that is a challenge or if that's just something that I have to accept about myself, that when I'm choreographing, sometimes I'm not starting with the vision, I'm developing the vision, and some, the vision comes full circle in the end. And I've noticed that a lot in the past with my work. And so I think maybe that's just something I have to accept. And that's just the way that I work as a creator. Instead of, starting with a clear concept or theme. But yeah, so I think that those are the general challenges that I had. But overall, the process was really incredible.
I'm glad to hear that. So is film something that you want to pursue further, or do you prefer the stage? I mean, we all have love for the stage.
Yeah.
But
I would say film for sure. I realized through this experience that, like, when, I don't know about anyone else, probably everyone does this, but when you hear a song, especially when you have a dance background, you immediately start dancing to it in your brain. Like, you see it happening in your brain, like you're listening to music and you just like are able to envision the movement. And I realized that the way that in my brain, the way that I'm seeing dance is way more from a film perspective than it is from the stage. And I never really realized that before. And so that made this whole process really enlightening, because I was like, okay, like, this is an amazing way to see dance. And when you're able to film dance, you can see it from so many different angles, which is something that we explored in the piece, because the camera's really following Sammy the whole time pretty much, and you're traveling with her and you're getting to experience it like right up in her face, up in her personal space. And I love that about dance, because on the stage, you don't get that experience. Like, you're so separated from the dancer, but with film, like, it feels like you're right there in it with her. So yeah, this has been super enlightening to me. And I really think that it's helped me understand a little bit more like what I'd like out of the dance career, and even the direction that I want to take in the future, for sure. So yeah, I will always love the stage. It's what I grew up on. But I think that dance film is something that will definitely be in my future, for sure.
Amazing. So learning through this past season, all the lessons that you've learned from this one project. Hello. All the lessons that you've learned from this project, what would you do differently for the next project?
I think I would start sooner. I definitely started a little late, and that was fine. Like, only having myself and one dancer to coordinate schedules was great, but I think that I would just be a little bit more intentional. I think I would reach out for help sooner. I definitely got a lot of help from you and from Sammy and from Life, but I think I was a little, hesitant to ask. And like, people were more than willing to help, and they obviously want to see you succeed, and they're like championing you, and they're backing you. And I feel like that is very true for this whole community and all of the choreographers for CFCC. Like, everyone involved is just like, they're on your side. They want to see you do your best. And so, yeah, I think I would just ask for help sooner. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that I want to do differently, or not even differently, but things that I want to do just in general. Like, I'd love to do this with more than one dancer. And yeah, but I think overall, those are the things that I would do a little bit differently if I had to do it again.
Gotcha. How'd you get involved with CFCC?
I actually found it just on Instagram. A dance company from St. Pete I was following, and they reposted something about CFCC, and I applied, honestly not thinking that I would get in. I was like, my life coach will be proud of me if I apply. And then I got in, and I was like, sweet. And so it definitely was like, I was not ready, and I was just like, okay, we're just like going for it, just like throwing myself into the ring. But I'm so grateful that been able to be a part of this season, and I've learned so much, and it's been awesome.
I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad that you were a part of our season 2, and you added so much to the lineup of films. I think you did an amazing job. So, Madison, what's next for you?
I honestly don't know. I work for a florist full time, and we're in the middle of our busy season right now. So my brain is just all about weddings and flowers and the upcoming holiday season. I really hope to do CFCC next year. And yeah, I've got some ideas and things that I want to run with. And I can't wait to make another dance film. So that's, I don't know if that will be through CFCC. Hopefully, yes. Hopefully other things. I would love to explore the idea of like, what is it like to be hired to choreograph things for like commercials or music videos one day. That's like big dream. So we'll see if I ever get there, but I don't have a clear,
I can see it. I see that.
I would love that so much. I can watch music videos for days. It's just so much fun. So I'm not quite sure. I don't have a direct answer. I'm definitely still in a bit of a limbo, still figuring out the dance scene in Florida. But this has definitely been a great entry into it. And I've got some hopes for the future. Don't know what it looks like yet, but I know there's going to be good things ahead for sure.
Absolutely. Definitely bright future. So how can people find you?
On Instagram. That's probably the thing that I use the most. It's Madison Jane Ruff. Instagram's a great place.
Okay. Well, I am so glad that you got involved with us this season, Madison, and I look forward to future collaborations with you. And I can't wait to see what you do in Central Florida.
Awesome. Definitely.
That was Madison Jane Ruff, Season 3 choreographer with Central Florida Choreographers collaboration. You can see Madison's project along with dozens of other films in ChoreoCollab Film Fest 2022. ChoreoCollab Film Fest 2022 is screening online until November 20th exclusively at ChoreoCollab.com. We hope you'll join us next time. Keep creating, friends.